All right, this video is going to start breaking down the First Amendment, specifically the part of the First Amendment that deals with freedom of religion, and even more specifically, the part that we refer to as the Establishment Clause. So the first part of the First Amendment deals with religion, and the first part that deals with religion basically says that Congress shall make no law establishing or respecting an establishment of religion. So this is known as the Establishment Clause. And what it does is it really prevents the government from creating a religion or intentionally favoring a religion or punishing an already existing religion. And this establishes like the idea of separation of church and state. I'm going to play a real quick video for you that's going to show you how the Supreme Court determines when the government is violating the Establishment Clause that deals with religion in the First Amendment.
The Lemon Test is a three-part test that the Supreme Court uses to determine whether a law violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, which says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The three parts of the Lemon Test are as follows. First, a law must have a secular purpose. Second, the law's principal or primary purpose can neither advance nor inhibit religion. And finally, the government may not be excessively entangled in religion. The Lemon Test came from the 1971 Supreme Court case Lemon v. Kurtzman. At issue was whether the government could provide state funding to private religious schools. Two states, Pennsylvania and Rhode Island, each passed statutes that provided financial assistance to private schools, many of which were religious. This funding subsidized the cost of textbooks and instructional materials for non-religious subjects, and it also supplemented teachers' salaries. In the majority opinion, Chief Justice Warren Burger applied the three-part test to the statutes at hand. First, the statutes did have a secular purpose, as they were intended to educate students. Second, the statutes were not intended to advance or inhibit religion. However, the Lemon Test's third prong, that the government could not be excessively entangled in religion, was found to have been violated. The court reasoned that government oversight would be required to ensure that the funds were being used strictly for secular purposes, thereby creating excessive government entanglement with religious schools. As a result, the laws were deemed unconstitutional. Those in favor of the Lemon Test argue that it provides manageable standards by which the Supreme Court can evaluate cases pertaining to the Establishment Clause. Thus, having this set of guidelines would provide some uniformity in how the courts evaluate and rule in these cases. Others argue that the Lemon Test is too vague and has been selectively invoked as a means of striking down disfavored laws.
All right, so that gives you a little overview of sort of how the Supreme Court determines through those three guidelines whether or not the Establishment Clause is being violated. And that's what the purpose, we call tests just like guidelines. They're created by the court to decide if like any kind of government policies violate the Establishment Clause. So as I mentioned, like there's three parts to it. Like what's the purpose of it? Is it to like help a religion or is it just for a non-religious purpose? That's the third one, going from the bottom up. The second one is the idea of, is it like meant to like advance or prevent somebody's religious practice? And like the one on top is like, is it gonna like result in sort of this messy relationship between government and religion? So just to show you the two examples, like Emerson versus the Board of Education, 1947, there were people that challenged the fact that public school districts were using their buses to bus kids that were going to private religious schools, to their school too. And someone essentially sued and argued that that was improper use of sort of like taxpayer busing to send kids to religious schools. Supreme Court argued that this isn't like helping a religion, that this is just for a secular purpose, a non-religious purpose, getting the kids to school like safely. So they allowed that to continue. But in the video you saw, like with Lemon v. Kurtzman, you were having money going to actually like giving money to private schools or religious schools for supplies and to pay their teachers. That was considered to be too much of an involvement between like religion and like government. So again, this is just sort of the guidelines that are sort of used to determine when the Establishment Clause is being violated.